Hey everybody, welcome to the Mother Figures podcast. I'm Caitlin Darkangelo, founder and co-owner of Figure, Midwestern wife, and girl mom. I'm a dual certified pregnancy and postpartum trainer, majored in exercise science from the University of Michigan, earned my master in management degree from Duke University, and have been coaching in the fitness industry for over a decade. This podcast dives into all things pregnancy and postpartum fitness, especially in how to navigate strength and intensity training in these seasons. Whether you're in it yourself, trying to get pregnant, or coaching this population, you're in the right place. I'm excited to share personal experiences, client stories, guest interviews, and evidence-based strategies to give you the guidance, insights, and clarity needed to navigate these seasons with confidence. And with that, let's get rolling. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Mother Figures podcast. Today is going to be a little case study on me. So I like to do this with different clients, but this time it was my own experience. So I was gonna kind of use my own feelings and work through it in a framework so that I can make it into a whole podcast episode that you guys can then use it on yourself. So I am currently 4 months postpartum, and I experienced some pelvic discomfort, I guess I'll call it, during my run last week. So I wanted to kind of walk you through the mindset, the framework, my path forward around it in a way that you could also use that same philosophy or framework to apply to your specific situation, whether you're pregnant, postpartum, whether you have the same symptoms or different symptoms. So just kind of helping you navigate symptom-based exercise or symptom-based awareness and how that relates to your exercise moving forward. So there's a few different key pieces that come into four different buckets. First is going to be like the what. So what are you feeling? Second is like what could have caused that? What was different than normal? Number 3 is putting context around why that thing may have caused that symptom. And then 4 is the path moving forward now that we kind of have a clearer picture of what's going on. So that's the overall picture of our episode today. And I'm going to use my specific scenario that I just experienced last week to kind of walk you through navigating symptoms during pregnancy or postpartum and how we can make sure that we keep up with our fitness and try to also resolve symptoms at the same time. So first point is kind of creating context around the what. So what did I feel that initiated me having to do some navigating here? So for me, it was pelvic unsteadiness. It was something I had never experienced before. So it was kind of a dull, achy feeling that was more bony in nature. Normally my bone pain or symptoms are very sharp shooting. This was like a dull, achy feeling. It was kind of like right above the front of my pelvis, but was probably initiated, just on the pelvic bone, but it kind of felt like almost like uterus dull, crampy, but it was constant. And I know it wasn't like organ related. So it was bone related. It was kind of hard to describe. It almost felt like an overused bone, or like the bone itself was sore, which was very odd. So like when I walked, I felt like unsteady. It wasn't clicking or like getting caught in my stride, but it was more of like a dull, achy feeling during my gait that felt like rooted in almost like uneven hips, or like I kind of felt off balance, or if I was to try to start running or try to start moving faster, my body just wasn't going to be able to like do that. So that was the symptom that sparked me being like, I should probably dig a little bit deeper into this. So this specifically would probably be more generally categorized under like pelvic girdle pain. It wasn't painful for me. It was more discomfort and just uneasiness and more of like a dull, achy feeling. But pelvic girdle pain is kind of like a big category of pain that we're looking for during pregnancy and postpartum. So other common symptoms that you might experience, or things that are like outside of pelvic girdle pain, would also fall into categories like incontinence. So that's either fecal or peeing related, prolapse or heaviness. So pelvic floor, like bulging or feeling of like something falling out in the pelvic floor. SPD, this is generally during pregnancy. So that's like a sharp shooting pain down the center of your pelvic bone in the front. And then for postpartum specifically, any increased bleeding in the first 1 to 8 weeks postpartum are other like symptoms that you might experience that might spark you to have to go through this whole next framework of kind of getting to the root of things. So first, we're defining and getting really specific about what symptom we are experiencing. So for me, that dull, achy feeling, bony in the front of the pelvis. Now, number two, once we know exactly, number one is the easiest. Like, obviously, that's what we're going to be analyzing. So, like, after you figure out or you feel whatever that symptom is, then we want to figure out next what could have caused it. So, we want to think about like what was different from normal, what was added. You might need to think deeper about this one if it wasn't like exercise specific, but for me, it was a very easy, like I did this, that was new, and then that's what sparked it. So for me, I started feeling this immediately after trying my first unbroken 20-minute run on an assault runner. So up to this point, so I'm 4 months postpartum, I have done all of the base work, and then I've been running for about 2 months now, I would say, but all of my runs have been either interrupted. So I'd have to get off the runner or stop my outdoor run and like help my kiddos out. But this one I was by myself. So I had 20 minutes uninterrupted, which was fantastic. But I would also do interval based runs up to this point. So I would do like 2 minutes on, 1 minute off, or like some kind of variation of like 1,000-meter run and then like 5-minute rest, whatever it is. So they were always broken up into runs. So this was my first time running 20 minutes straight at the same pace for 20 minutes. So in general, for number two, like what would have caused it, things that you want to think about. For me, obviously it was an easy one. I know that this is what caused it because I felt it directly after and it was different than what my normal stuff was. But in general, you may feel symptoms after introducing a new movement pattern. So doing something for the first time in a while. Maybe it was the first time you hit a specific weight or went at a higher intensity, which was kind of my gist here. Maybe doing more volume. One place that people get tricked up on is even if it's going from like resting to doing more housework, sometimes that itself sparks more symptoms. So we want to think about literally everything that we did in a day, not just in the gym, that could have sparked more symptoms. Because that's one of the biggest culprits postpartum is like going from nothing to doing like the dishes or laundry is actually more volume on your body than it might be ready for, which sounds kind of crazy. But so we want to think about everything in the day that could have been new or harder than what we are normally used to. So we're trying to do in number two, seeing what could have caused that symptoms, what was different than normal. Then number three piece of the framework is now we're trying to put context around why that thing in number two may have caused that symptom that we talked about in number one. So this is where we're pulling a lot of different pieces in together. We're trying to figure out the root cause. Number one piece of context is like what phase or status of pregnancy and postpartum are you in? So for me, I'm 4 months postpartum. Maybe you're 8 weeks pregnant. Maybe you're 4 months pregnant. Obviously, knowing that time frame is important. That's number one. But that is oftentimes where a lot of people stop and they're like, "Oh, just because I'm 4 months postpartum and that's why my run hurt." We need a lot more context than that. And that's where these next steps come in. So first, we want to analyze how our fitness and symptoms have looked like leading up into this time frame. So I'm 4 months postpartum. However, I have started or I've been in recovery mode or I've been progressively overloading or rehabbing since day 4. So I started my Figure postpartum program on day 4 with breath work, with pelvic floor connection, mobility. I've felt super connected since literally in the hospital bed. I was able to do a pelvic floor contraction. I was able to engage my core really strong. I also had a very smooth delivery with no tearing. It was unmedicated. I had no issues, no blood clots, things like that, no heart rate or blood pressure things. So haven't had any issues. I've stayed super connected. And since day 4 up until this point where I hit this symptom threshold, I've built up capacity progressively over time. I've had high rest to work interval runs. I've done a lot of the base foundational strength work, all without symptoms. So this is the first time that I've actually like reached my fitness threshold, which is actually a great thing. I want to find where that threshold is. And that's kind of where I'm at. So that's kind of leading up into this point. Like I've mentioned before, also in terms of what my fitness has looked like leading up into this point, my runs have all been interval based. So I've been getting some kind of rest, some kind of walking time in between my runs. They've all been about 20 minutes total, 20 to 30 minute runs, but they've all been interval based. Again, like I said, normally my runs are interrupted, but this time it was like completely unstopped, and it was all on the assault runner. And a lot of my runs have been a lot of my longer runs have been outside. So just like a different stimulus on the body. And then something also to think about what my fitness has looked like leading up to this phase. I'm also going to think about what happened during pregnancy for me. So I stopped running at 19 weeks pregnant because of sharp-ish SPD pains. So it's been almost 9 to 10 months since I've ran unbroken for 20 minutes. So my body just might not be conditioned yet because it's been X amount of months for me, 10 months, since I've done that same stimulus. So if you're postpartum trying to analyze your symptoms, we are still looking into that pregnancy and pre-pregnancy timeframe for fitness levels to see kind of if any of that can also be contributing to the symptoms you're experiencing now. So now that we know what phase of pregnancy / postpartum I am, I'm 4 months postpartum, what fitness has looked like and what symptoms have looked like leading up into this point, then I want to think about number 3 is the current fitness and body status that I am feeling right now that could be contributing to why I'm experiencing these symptoms. So one is I'm still 15 pounds heavier than I am used to. So my body has more weight on a body system that's still healing and still prone to symptoms. So I have a lot of like adjusting from a like anatomical center of gravity, body mechanics, things that my body's trying to figure out. So yes, my fitness level might feel like I might be able to physically go for 20 minutes, but having 15 more pounds on my body versus what I'm normally used to, that is going to have a change in how much pressure and how much tension my body is kind of holding, and like where that weight is being carried is different than what I am used to. That's just a fact. That is okay. And that's just something that is potentially contributing to why I'm experiencing these like achy pelvis feelings, because the pelvis is trying to stabilize as I'm running, and that extra weight is just adding extra strain to that pelvis. And maybe that's something that's, making it more symptomatic for me. Number 2 is hormonally. We want to think about where we're at from a hormone perspective. So I am still breastfeeding. I'm 4 months postpartum. So from a postpartum perspective, breastfeeding or not, my hormones are still not completely back to normal. Hormonally, we still have relaxin in our system for about 4 to 12-ish months postpartum, and it stays longer when you are breastfeeding. And relaxin is the hormone that is responsible for making our joints and our ligaments more lax for birth, but it stays in the system postpartum. So not only do I have more weight on top of me, my body's different because of after delivery. I'm still trying to figure that out. And hormonally, my joints and ligaments, my static supports are still a little bit, they're not 100% like locked in. So even though I have a lot of strength being built up, and that's helping with so muscles are like your dynamic support. So your musculature helps hold the joints together. But my joints and ligaments are still not as solid as they normally are pre-pregnancy, for instance. And that absolutely can be attributing to the fact that I just feel a little bit more unstable, or like this load or capacity that I thought would feel good is still not feeling exactly right. In terms of my current fitness / body status, also, I have been having a lot of like Achilles pain. That's been one of my main issues for me. So I'm working on getting to the root of that. I actually just went to a massage therapist last week, and she confirmed it's probably having to do with a hip imbalance or just, shiftier hips. And a lot of tightness in the front of my body. So my shins, my quads, any connecting hip musculature, and calves. So anything that is connecting to the hips, like your quads, hamstrings, adductors, abductors, tightness or weakness in any of those areas can definitely play into your hips and like their ability to stabilize too. And so that's something that I probably need to work on to help with my Achilles pain. But my Achilles pain in my current body status could also be contributing to compensation patterns. That's also playing back into my hips, like having to go in overdrive because my Achilles are kind of out of the loop. So that can be a piece of the puzzle too. So thinking about outside of pelvic floor, core, hip stuff, like what else is going on in the body, because the whole body is a functioning system together. And so we want to think about things from a global approach, not just like what is pregnancy and postpartum related. So that's number 3. What is your current fitness or body status that can be playing into like the context around why your symptoms are occurring? Number 4 is any predispositions you have. So for me, I had SPD really, really bad in my first pregnancy. I was able to manage it a little bit better in my second. And SPD pain is that like sharp shooting pain down the center of your front of your pelvis where your pubic bones kind of come together at that symphysis pubis joint. So for me, I have a predisposition knowing that single leg moves, which is the nature of running. You're always on one foot or the other. So it's single leg balance. Those are more prone to causing symptoms for me personally. So I knew I had a predisposition of like that hip imbalance or just having to go a little bit slower in my recovery when it comes to single leg strength and single leg nature-based movements. But other predispositions, maybe you have something like hypermobility where you know that you're just like way more lax than normal. And then when all the postpartum things come into play, you're kind of all over the place. So that could be a predisposition. There's a million different like health related and, injuries in the past. Maybe you broke a foot or a hand and like, things are always off. So just thinking about anything that happened in your past that could be playing into predispositions that could be causing symptoms for you during the pregnancy and postpartum timeframes. And then number 5 is any lifestyle factors that could be playing into the context around why you're experiencing symptoms. So lifestyle factors would include things like nutrition, your recovery overall, sleep, especially with postpartum, new babies, newborns, caring for new humans, different routine change, all that plays into your overall energy levels. And then there's also like a mental and physical capacity thing that we want to address or like think of. So think of in the postpartum time period, the physical capacity it takes to like be baby wearing, for instance, all day. There is so much more strain on your body throughout the day. So when it comes to your actual workout, your body might just have less in the tank during the actual workout because of the physical capacity of motherhood throughout the rest of the day, which obviously has a mental load to it as well. So we want to think about things like lifestyle factors in terms of creating context around what's going on. So recapping from there, now that we have established exactly what we're feeling, we've pinpointed it, we know exactly what it is, we have an idea of what could have caused it or what was different than normal that we want to like really think deeper about. And then we put context around all the things that could have contributed to our symptom happening at this certain time or that certain threshold. Now we want to think about a path moving forward. So this is the piece that obviously is important in implementing, but I think a lot of times we, like medical doctors or whoever it is, you'll say, oh, I have this pain. And then they're like, okay, just like don't do it anymore. And that just doesn't make any sense to me. So instead of like being like, oh, I experienced that pain and like, we're just going to avoid that. Like this next step of, figuring out a path forward is the critical analytical piece that I want you guys to start being able to develop for yourself so that you can kind of navigate your own symptoms and make sure that you're continuing to do the things you love and not just having to like scrap something just because it caused symptoms one time. So this is kind of my framework or like things that I'm going to be doing for myself in terms of running and my, achiness, dull pelvic feelings. And then you can attribute that to whatever situation you are currently in. Because when we know exactly what's happening and the source of that symptom, we build context around it. Now we have like a little bit more ammo to move forward with like a solid plan of action. So that's what this is. So number 1, I think a lot of my source of symptoms is just tension and tightness in my lower extremities. So I have a strong plan of action to be prioritizing, like rolling out my calves for sure, because I can physically feel the tightness in my calves, like it's insane. And then spending more time on warm-ups and stretches, which can be hard because a lot of days I'm already squeezing the workout in. So like when you squeeze stuff in, you tend to miss the beginning and the end, and you try to just go ham in the middle and just like leave the gym and go get your baby or whatever it is. So it's really hard in the early phases of motherhood. But I just need to reframe my own self and have that as the priority of my workout versus prioritizing intensity, which can be hard, especially when I'm like just getting to the point where I'm like excited to start adding a ton of weight and a ton of intensity, like my body fitness level feels ready. But if I want my pelvis to stay nice and aligned and I don't want to experience these symptoms and I need to really work on my Achilles and calf stuff, I'm just going to have to prioritize mobility and relieving tension and tightness as the main thing. So that might require me to ask for more help with the kids, or it might force me to change out my workout schedule so I can have sufficient time to get my warm-ups and my cool downs in. And that's all hard lifestyle routine changes, but that's just something that I might have to do in order to get to the root of things. And that is just what I'm going to have to do right now. Number two, seeing other professionals that can help me out. So I already saw a massage therapist, chiropractor would also be great for hip balance, pelvic floor PT. I'm just trying to help get to get my body in balance. First of all, find deeper roots and find deeper hip stability. And maybe they have a lot of other advice for me based on what they can find from their scope or their lens of practice. Number three, I'm going to opt for continuing with my interval-based runs for the next few weeks to build up even more capacity, even more gradually than I originally thought that I would have to. So I thought I was ready for like unbroken runs, just going straight for it. But obviously that sparks some symptoms. So maybe I'll run for 10 minutes at a time and then take some walking, and I can slowly build up my like unbroken time that way, but still adding some walks in to allow myself to relax a little bit within that run. And maybe that I won't hit that symptom threshold where like the rest of the day and the whole next day, like my pelvis feels like I'm just like all out of sorts. Number four is a root cause thing. So continuing to work on strengthening single leg lifts. So I've done a lot of good work, I think, with heavy stuff. Like I've been able to really hit heavy lunges, weighted step-ups. The heavy stuff feels really good, but maybe I need to work on more endurance-based things. So maybe I need to work on like single leg holds or like, split squat holds or higher reps, so higher endurance, because running is a long, repetitive, same motion kind of thing. So maybe I need to do like higher rep ranges with my lunges, with my step-ups. And kind of strengthen single leg from an endurance standpoint and less of a strength standpoint, obviously. So always working on strength, but just doing different variety of single leg workouts to match my goal of having more high endurance, high capacity needs for my runs. Number five is continue to lose weight. You might hate to hear it, but it's true. Obviously, I know where my body feels best. I'm still 15 pounds heavier than where I feel comfortable with a performance and a functioning standpoint. And that's just that's the hard truth. My body does not perform best where I'm at right now. It does not function best at the weight that I am currently at. And that's not me shaming my body. That's just me being realistic and knowing where I personally feel comfortable at, both in the gym and just like fitting in my clothes and stuff. And that's totally fine to have a both weight and aesthetic goal on top of your performance and function goals. So I'm working on losing those next 15 pounds, which comes along with nutrition, good recovery, staying mobile throughout the day. Obviously, alongside of continuing to prioritize and build my strength and build my functional capacity, my fitness capacity. And that's going to make my runs better. It's going to help with the load bearing that my hips are having right now. So just to say that like, that's okay for you to have weight goals, and it's okay. And it makes sense that that is going to help with my running goals too. And I think that, weight goals and performance goals can go hand in hand with each other. And I think that's actually a really positive mindset to have around. So that's number five. I've been able to, now that my intensity has kind of picked up, I feel like I've broken through one of the plateaus that I was at. So now I'm like kind of inching my way down again. And that's making me feel really good. It's having my sleep feel better. My recovery is better. My performance on my Whoop has been like awesome lately, which is really exciting to always see that green bar. But so that's another piece of the path forward that is going to help me with my run performance goals. And then number 6, I obviously can't do much about the hormone/breastfeeding thing. I want to continue breastfeeding. I'm not willing to give that up just to do well on my runs. So just knowing that I might not feel 100% hormonally, like maybe the relaxin stays a little bit longer, maybe just hormone shift wise, like different hormones are in your body when you are breastfeeding. So it's just mentally knowing that it might take a little bit more time until after my body is mine again and not breastfeeding. Just knowing that maybe I won't be able to hit some of my run goals until after my body is totally mine again. And just having that in the back of my mind, knowing that like, okay, you're not fully your own body. You're still supporting another human life right now with your own body. So that's a component to just like think about. So again, moral of the story here is just because that run hurt doesn't mean I stop running. Just because your knee hurt during a squat doesn't mean you stop squatting. So I'll never understand why like that's the knee-jerk reaction is like when something hurts, you just stop it. We need to get the full picture painted behind the symptoms. We need to get the full context. And then in that sense, then we can create a better path moving forward so that we can do the things that we want to do, but without any of the symptoms that we don't want to have. And again, like I had mentioned earlier too, as we actually want to find this threshold. It's actually a good thing that I'm finding this threshold, because if we work underneath our threshold too often, we're not going to hit our goals. And we're not going to like reach the performance that we're actually truly capable of. So being able to see the context of that threshold, now I'm able to kind of have that picture painted. I can work underneath that threshold to improve all these little miniature points. And then we can push into that threshold again and see if we raise the bar to the next level and the next threshold. And then we kind of repeat that over time so that we can continue, again, reaching that next level and feeling better in our fitness and improving our overall fitness capacity, endurance, strength, whatever it is that you have goals for in the gym. So again, this is kind of the overarching framework that I like to think about, both in myself and my app clients and my in-person clients. I love troubleshooting this kind of stuff. It's kind of what makes pregnancy and postpartum so unique, is every symptom, every situation, every context is different. So again, first going back through it, 1, you establish what you're feeling. 2, what could have caused that. 3, put context around why that thing might have caused that symptom. So we're thinking about the phase of pregnancy or postpartum you're in, what your fitness or symptoms have looked like leading up to that phase, your current fitness and body status, predispositions that have happened outside of pregnancy and postpartum that may have contributed, and then any lifestyle factors that are also contributing there. And then once we establish all that, we can have a better path moving forward and just be more in tune with our own body and what our own goals are and how we can hit those goals, knowing what we know about our own body and what's happening. So hopefully that will help be your guide to helping you manage through any symptoms that you currently have or maybe might have in the future, and just make you smarter, more aware, more body aware of yourself during these seasons too. So with that, I will see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Mother Figures podcast. If these episodes help or resonate with you in any way, it would be so helpful to the show if you could leave a review so we can get this into more moms' hands. And if you're looking for even more guidance and direction when it comes to pregnancy and postpartum fitness, I got you covered. My Mother Figures app subscription includes my Figure Pregnancy and Figure Postpartum workout programs, in addition to our general fitness programs. You'll get the day-by-day workouts you need to help you feel strong, pain-free, and labor-ready during pregnancy, and also the recovery, strength, and progressions you'll need to get back to the activities you love, full of strength and without symptoms after baby arrives. If you're local to the Brighton, Michigan area, I also host daily women's functional fitness classes, a 6-week postpartum return to fitness course, and pregnancy and postpartum consultation sessions. For those who are providers, coaches, or practitioners in the space, I hold a live Mother Figures certification course that equips you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to train and work with this population. For information on all of these services and programs, make sure to check out fitisgettingreal.com/moms or head to the show notes for the direct link. I'm so thankful that you tuned in today's episode, and I will catch you next time.